Hello and welcome to The Brand Called You. I'm your host, Sandeep Tyagi, and today's brand is Mr. Braham Aggarwal. He's the chairman of Park Square Homes, a large land development and home building company in Central Florida, in Orlando. He's also the founder and director of Hindu University of America and the chairman of Patanjali Yog Peeth. He's a very active member of many charitable organizations, having founded them in US and India. Welcome to our show, Mr. Aggarwal.
Thank you.
Let's start with your professional journey. You set up a company more than 35 years ago. It must have been a tremendous journey because so many people have moved to Central Florida and have bought homes. What were some of the key decisions and risks that you took in building this company?
Well, as I was saying, that I didn't do much. It's just God's grace. That I was just ambitious. I wanted to help the community. And instead of asking for donations from other people, I thought, hey, if I could establish a business through which I could make money and then help the community, that's what I had in mind. And one after the other, things started happening. Like a friend of mine from India wanted me to come to USA to talk to Hilton people to get a franchise. We go there, and this is how the story starts. And I got involved in real estate in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Uh-huh.
From there, I came to Orlando, and I read an article which said Orlando is going to do much better than Miami. At the moment, people go to Miami and come to Orlando for a day. And it said people will start coming to Orlando and go to Miami for a day if they would. So this is how the whole thing started, that I would want to do something in Orlando. Idea was to build a hotel because in Baton Rouge we had a hotel. So we thought, my God, so many immigrants, so many visitors come to Orlando, let's build a hotel. So I talked to some people and they introduced me to one gentleman who was 80 miles away from Orlando. And I drove up to him all the way. He was a civil engineer. And I said, well, this is what I want to do. This is fine. So he got involved. But then he found out that hotels were in oversupply situation. So let's go into home building. I said, I don't know anything about home building. He says he's a civil engineer. He would take care. So we got involved and we set up. So we started a company in which, he became 20% partner without any investment in the company. And then I got my son-in-law, Suresh Gupta, into the company from England. I asked him to come over and he did. And then three of us started the company together.
So a couple of very important things. I'll pick up on both. One, most people build a business and when they make money, they start doing charity. Seems like you started with a view of doing good for the community and therefore build a company. So in some sense, your sequence and motivation were in a different way than what most entrepreneurs have. And we'll talk about that in just a second. But it is also quite amazing that just by reading and observing the world, you were able to figure out that real estate may be a good bet in Florida, and within that, Orlando might be a good bet, and residential may be better than hotel. When you look at the business environment right now, what would you advise the next generation, maybe your grandchildren or grand nieces and nephews? What kind of businesses do you see having a good opportunity for the next 35 years?
Well, in US and maybe other countries also, there is always a cycle. Things flourish and they go up and down. We have seen 3-4 recessions in our business life. In 2007, 8, 9, 2009, my lawyer and my accountant asked me to declare bankruptcy because there was a recession. and I decided against it. A lot of builders and even banks were really run down and sold out, but we did not. So my thing is, if you are determined and if you are working for the community, see, there is a higher science than the material science, which you don't understand. I have a lot of examples in my life. I think of something and things happen.
Very
And just,
interesting.
if you have time, I'll just mention on something small. This morning, I had
Yes.
$150,000 in my account, bank account. So I talked to my CFO. I said, this has been sitting in my bank account for so long. I'm not doing anything. So she said, okay, why don't you put it in my company and then we'll start paying you interest. And within 2 hours, a friend of mine from Bombay calls me that his brother is a cancer specialist and his daughter has just completed MBBS, and for her to do post graduation, she needs 60 lakh rupees.
Mhm.
So she
Just
wrote
about
it down,
$100,000.
$400,000
Right.
in use. And then also I had mentioned about Suresh, who has prostate, diagnosed with cancer. And this doctor who we're talking about, he is a cancer hospital in Bombay. Now, a lot of things just happen. I look for something, want something, and things just turn up. The other day, my daughter said in the morning to me, Daddy, I have not made breakfast for you. I said, don't worry about it. God will take care of me. Within 5 minutes, somebody comes over. He says, oh, I brought Italy for you. Italy and
Okay.
some. So these sort of things happen. So I don't take credit for all the achievements I've had.
So you would not want to venture that you can predict what's going to happen. You are much more in the camp of that the journey will unfold in front of you what is right for you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Of
Fair
course,
enough.
you keep looking at what the reports say and all that. You take that into account.
Mhm.
But at present, home building is having a tough time. It had gone up last two years. It really did extremely well. We didn't know nobody in the home building business has any house to sell.
Right. No
But then
inventory right now. It's absolutely
but
high,
then
but
there are
the
challenges of supply. There are not
right.
enough supply.
Mhm.
But if somebody wants to ask me, I would say go into commercial ventures, projects like hotels, and of course, hotels had a tough time during COVID.
Right.
Nobody was in the hotel. But then hotels, commercial buildings. Now there's another thing come up: build for rent. That you
Right.
build a whole community of houses just for rent. I had not heard about it before, that somebody would buy the whole community just for renting it out.
Well, the world is really looking for yield. It's very difficult to generate interest income or income from property is a stable way of generating income. So that's an opportunity that you see.
Right.
You talked about the motivation for building the business was really to generate resources for doing not-for-profit and community work. You have done many different things. I know you founded the Hindu University of America. In the world where most education is now secular, so to say, what is the purpose of creating a religion inspired or religion based university? How do you see it fitting in?
You see, while we say secular, all countries have Christian universities.
Mhm.
And what happened was in US, there was a Swami. He suggested that there are Christian universities, Jewish universities, and Muslim influence in various universities. And now we see Jain also being taught, Jainism being taught also. So he suggested, why don't we have a Hindu university? So this is how the idea came of starting a Hindu university, because Hinduism is very much misunderstood in the world. And this is
Why
where,
is that? Why do you think it's a almost a billion people in the world which have this faith, but there is this impression that it is maybe misunderstood. And I will combine another question. I know you are quite active in many Hindu Swayamsevak Sangh activities as well, and several people, including many Hindus, try to maintain a distance because they somehow equate Sangh with maybe intolerance. But you are quite proud of it and very active in it. Do you feel that there is some misunderstanding of what is the mission, and how do you see that it can be corrected?
see, RSS started in 1925 when Gandhiji was all for secularism and all that. Actually, India, as you know, has been ruled by foreigners. First of all, invaders from the Central Asia, Middle East, Mongolia, and all, ruled by those people. And they enforced their way of thinking, their religion on us. And then there come the British. That was the worst. I mean, they decided the only way to rule this country is to destroy their culture. So they destroyed two big universities India had, Nalanda and Takshila. People from all over the world used to come, scholars used to come to these, there were huge libraries and all that. So they destroyed both the libraries, destroyed the Sanskrit language and the literature. And they created this ICS, which takes care of the bureaucrats.
Mhm.
And they were educated in UK, and the most emphasis was on English and Western way of life. And they wrote a lot of literature which is derogatory of Hinduism. The Hindus don't have a good marketing of their religion. Although we see examples that one fellow comes to Prabhupada by name, comes to US at the age of 70 with no money, no contacts. And he started this ISKCON or Hare Krishna movement. And you see, Hare Krishna movement is all over the world, including Russia, where they create a lot of problems for these people, but they, didn't let go. So Eastern Europe, all over the place, and a lot of literature. They have been dancing in New York and even in winter, and London. So, but Hinduism on its own, as generally, Osho goes to, comes to America, same thing. 95 Rolls Royces used to be at his place. Then Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, he came to this place, transcendental meditation, and there is a university in Iowa. So just one person could create a Buddha. One person could create such an impact, and people from a king subscribing to Buddhist teaching, they went to China, Japan, Southeast Asia, and all that, and they created such a large following. There was no incentives given, no force was used. And the biggest temple, as you know, is in Cambodia, Hindu temple.
Angkor, yes.
Lot of interest in Southeast Asia about them. But what happened was partly because at the same time, when Buddhism spread in India, they said non-violence and all is fine. And this is where, when the invaders came, they were all Muslims. They created a lot of problems for us. And education was stopped. And even now, if anybody wants to know about Hinduism, where do you go? If you want to know anything about Christianity, you go to a church. You want to know anything about Islam, you go to a mosque. You want to know anything about Judaism, you go to a synagogue. Where do you go to learn Hinduism? You go to a temple, the only thing you see are murtis, and the pujaris have no idea about the teachings of Hinduism. Our Bible, if you may call it, is like Gita. The Hindu teachings are secular. All the Hindu teachings are secular. They're based on question and answer. Like there's the story of how Mandan Mishra and Shankaracharya, when Hinduism, Buddhism spread in India, Shankaracharya comes along and says, no, but that's not right. Buddhism is not all our teaching. There is much more to Hinduism than this one side of Buddhism. So he had a debate with Mandan Mishra. So that was very common in India to have debates. People would have debates and discuss and decide who won the debate. And in the Mandan Mishra thing, Shankaracharya says to Mandan Mishra, let your wife be the judge. We will have a debate and your wife will decide who has won.
The tradition is based on a lot of tolerance and discussion and open debate. And
you want to know the truth. What is the truth? And you don't stop till you know the truth.
So there is, I think, the whole basis of the theoretical, what is the truth, how should we live our life, what is the purpose of life, and how to understand the human existence. And I think there is quite a bit of understanding and acceptance now building up through adoption of concepts like yoga and its associated philosophies, not just the exercise part. And this university and other educational initiatives can do it, can help build that awareness more broadly. But you're also very involved in other organizations where, like Ekal Vidyalaya and other things, where the objective is to teach through 100,000 schools. Do you see a big need for activity in areas with engagement in the community? And where would you like to see people get more engaged to have a better impact?
As I said, when the British came in, they really found out that the only way to control these people, to rule these people, is to keep them poor and illiterate. So the villages had no access to any education. And this is where Christian missionaries used to go to villages and convert people, give them some incentives and all that. So it happened to be that we found out that there is this need. And this is where, talking about RSS a little bit, that one of the pracharaks of RSS came to know about it. He said, we'll take it on. And he started this building school. There are no buildings as such in those villages. You can sit under a tree, 30, 40 students, instead of them just walking around, playing here and there. They said, okay, and they told the parents, the relatives told the parents, these kids can help you out during the whole day, but just give us 2 hours. So this is where we'll teach you how to read, write, and do the numbers. And once they learn that, after 3, they can join a school, government school in 3rd grade. This was our Ekal Vidyalaya started. And now there's tremendous interest. 100,000 schools came up. And then, of course, I'm involved in Vidya Bharati. Now, this is urban area. There's a building and there are teachers and the syllabus is up to CBSE, up to 12th grade. So there are about 30,000 schools, Vidya Bharati schools, proper teachings and everything.
Okay. I'll change gears a little bit to know you a bit more personally. Tell us about your childhood. Where were you born? Where did you grow up? And what was your childhood like?
Well, as I said, I was born in Kenya, Mombasa. And then, of course, I don't remember anything till the age of maybe, if you ask me to go back at the age of 5, 6. So my father, for whatever reason, we went to Kenya in 1928, and then 1938. Every 10 years we shifted.
Mm-hmm.
28 to 38 we were in Kenya, and I was born in 35. I mean, so after 3 years, our family went to India, and then the World War started 39, 40. And my father developed a handicap, being able to speak. The speech was not good. So people could not understand what he was trying to say. So he struggled for a living. We went to a village. My maternal uncle helped us. Then we go to another place, and then eventually to Jigaon. Then 1948, we came back to Kenya. Again, there was a struggle. My father used to sell Indian medicine.
Indian medicines.
Medicine, Ayurveda medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So he could feel the pulse and tell you what's wrong with you. Some people used to be sort of surprised. How do you know? Just by catching the pulse, he could feel the pulse and tell you what the problem was. And then he would give medicine right there and then. And this is how he made some money, and we struggled. And in Nairobi, we used to live in one room, 3 brothers, 1 sister, my parents. So 6 of us were living in one bedroom. And then when I grew up, I gave up studies because there was not enough money in the house. But then I decided I will keep studying to do my higher school, 10th grade or 12th grade. So whole day I would go to work, and then in the evening I would study to get my through correspondence course. I did my high school, and I had no doubt in my mind that I will do well in the high school, and I did. So I passed my high school, and then went on to do Institute of Chartered Secretaries. It's like a chartered accountancy.
Sure.
So by again working full time, I did that, and with that I got a very good opportunity in a British company, Lonro, where I eventually became a chief accountant, in which there was this facility that I could have my family go to London and get the studies there, because there were challenges in Kenya after independence of Kenya. All African countries were having problems, like Uganda, 1972. Idi Amin, told all the Indians to leave the country within 3 months.
So that's quite a bit of challenge growing up with very limited resources. Would you say that really shaped your perseverance?
But I was always very, very optimistic, very helpful. And the challenge was that some of my relatives were doing extremely well in Kenya, Nairobi. While they were sort of relatives, but they had big house and everything. And here we are living in one room. So naturally, you won't like to come to our house. It was not a great location also. So this is where my mind was, I'm going to do something. I'm going to show that I can do something.
So there was some push from the perspective of catching up to your better part of the family. But was it any advice you remember, something which shaped you and say, let me do accounting? Your father was in medicine. You did not think of going in that direction of becoming a doctor, there's so many paths that Indians took.
I had some friends, and then of course I could not go in medicine if I have to do part-time. The only thing you can do part-time was accountancy.
Okay.
And there were some friends who were doing chartered accountancy, certified accountancy and all that. So this is what I did, and I am glad I did that. I worked for British Embassy and other companies also. And whenever I wanted to resign the job, they were very unhappy. Again, as God will, want it, He put in touch a person who I told, look, I don't know anything about accountancy. No, he said, doesn't matter. Since you are studying accountancy, you will pick up accountancy. And he was so nice to me. Every day we will go for lunch. He's my boss,
Mhm.
but still we'll go out for lunch together. And then eventually, when I visited UK and I thought I want to move to UK, so I came and told him I want to move to UK. So I would resign my job. So my boss said, look, you carry on and he will resign and recommend that I take over from him.
Wow. Hmm.
He
That's
was so,
great to have a mentor like that early on in
no, he
your
was
life.
extremely nice.
Now, where did you get this strong desire to do things for community, for Hindus? Was your father the inspiration? Where did you get that initial
Father,
inspiration?
of course, was from Arya Samaj background, very
Mhm.
dynamic, very, very dynamic and wanting to do things. And then, of course, RSS, I heard about RSS. Out of India, RSS started in Kenya.
I
It was the
see.
first country where RSS started. It happened to be that one gentleman who was RSS person, he started, we used to come by ship. So in the
Mhm.
ship, he started doing Shaka. And there were some of the people who were involved in Shaka. In fact, you ask any grown-up person if they have been in Shaka, they'll say yes. While children, what it is was you go and play. And just by playing, the most beautiful thing, in fact, I feel the only organization in the world is so secular. There's no guru. They call the Bhagavad Dhwaj, the flag, as the guru, that all the teachings of Indian teaching are under that. And of
It's
course,
somewhat like what Eagle Scouts and scouting in US and Western society does to some level, where they bring
yeah,
in the young people, do some activity, learn how to be in a group, learn some basic values, that type of early engagement programs.
absolutely, absolutely. But this was more than that. I mean, it included also the Sanskriti,
Mhm.
the ancient civilization, ancient teachings of our, and all the great. I've got a meeting at 4 o'clock.
Mhm. Well,
So RSS, to me, RSS is, I mean, of course, there are weaknesses and all that, but their thing was to train people to serve the society and impart the knowledge of the ancient wisdom and be
understood.
selfless service to the society. And there were 3,000 people, all well educated, gold medalists and all, who got involved in RSS. Because to get involved, give up your job or life for a cause, you have to be really very, very confident about yourself and dynamic. And this is who these people were. Oh, so simple, like Modi ji. What did he say? He says, I've got no money and all I have is two sets of clothing. So there were a lot of people like that who were behaving like that. Very, very simple, very simple. And you were very well educated. The only
People,
weakness I would say is that we did not get involved in spirituality part, teachings of uh, spirituality.
mhm.
But we learned spirituality. I mean, selflessness is the highest virtue of any religion.
Well, it starts with community, starts with fitness. As Vivekananda also said, stay engaged, and if you learn to play football well, that's the first step
Right,
of being spiritual. So I
right.
understand that. Um, you've obviously had string of huge success. Was there one thing that you tried and did not succeed at, and what did that failure teach you?
Well, there was this when the lawyer recommended that we declare bankruptcy. I had to take a big decision what to do. See, what we had done is we made a lot of money with, within 2004, 2005, 6, and 7. We made a lot of money, but we did not spend. See, my thing was is for the community. I would not any spend money on myself, almost like a miser for myself. Spend as little as possible. So all the money we made, we put it back into the company. So we borrowed, although we had a line of credit for $200 million, but we borrowed very little. So we, although had a challenge, but we didn't have big loans to repay. So that helped us, that banks were comfortable that whatever business we were doing, we could repay the loan.
So you overstretched in the 2006-7. That was the decision on the business cycle that really stressed you.
The business was doing extremely well, 2004, 5, and 6, like $80 million.
Okay. So what would be the learning? Would the learning be reinvest and don't leverage the business? What would be the learning you would say from that cycle, from that decision?
To grow, you have to. But these are these things like recession. Nobody can forecast it,
right?
And nobody can escape it.
Sure.
Like a bank, I mean, from $20, $30 came down to $2. A lot of builders went out of business, and people were surprised that we survived.
Well, Lehman Brothers, Bear Stearns, many huge companies went out of business in that debacle when the economy unlevers. Let's do quick, fun questions. This is to get to know you, what you like. Is there a movie you can watch over and over again?
Well, I keep telling my friends or youngsters, there's this big movie, Milkha Singh.
About the runner, Milkha Singh.
Yeah, runner. While we keep saying, I'm tired, I said, you should watch that movie, Milkha Singh, where how a trainer at a military coach told him when he said, I'm tired, he would give him a stick and he said, get up and run, get up and run. So he made him run while he was tired. So eventually he became a great runner. See, the mind, the biggest difficulty or the obstacle is the training of the mind. Unless you train the mind will, and you ask any person who is being trained or who has a trainer, he'll tell you the trainer will, after doing 5 rounds, you'll say, I'm tired. And the trainer will say, one more, and you double it, 10, 12 you can do. So the mind keeps telling us to relax and lie down and have a good time. So you have to control the mind. And all these people like IIT or Harvard and all these people go to these institutions. How do they do that? By training their mind and saying no to the fun and pleasure. Pleasure, to me, pleasure is pain. Maza and saza.
There you go. No gain without pain. If you could meet a historical figure for dinner, somebody who's no longer with us, who would you like to meet?
Well, of course, Modi ji, when we met him, he keeps reminding me, I came to your house for dinner.
Oh, okay. But Modi ji is still around. I was more curious about the historical figure who we cannot talk to anymore.
Atal Bihari Vajpayee, he was with me whole day. And then Subramanian Swamy, who is a well-known figure in Indian politics.
Okay.
I mean, I've had dinners with them.
So all the luminaries in the political field is what would be your curiosity about learning what's going on with them. If you were to find yourself with a free afternoon, you had a big meeting, it just got cancelled. You now have a free afternoon. What would you do?
Read.
Really? What kind of books have you read recently?
Well, I read the spiritual, educational, motivational books.
Okay. What kind of cuisine do you like? If you were to pick a place to go for dinner, what kind of cuisine would you pick?
My thing is very simple. One, I can go without lunch or without a dinner. I did that actually when I came to for business in this country. I remember I had gone without food for 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, nowadays that's fashionable. It's called intermittent fasting. So you were ahead of your time.
nowadays it has become, yeah. But to me,
Yes.
food was not a big issue. I can, whatever food I get is good enough for me.
Okay.
No liking as such.
What's your
Any food,
favorite
all roti
city in
is
the
good
world?
enough. I'm sorry.
Sorry, no, moving on. Favorite city in the world?
Oh, again, Nairobi, of course, was very nice. But then after independent things changed. But London, I've done a lot of traveling in London, driving through London. Lot of Indian community there, a lot of friends, lot of in UK, there are about 50 shakas, 50 different chapters of RSS. In
Wow.
US, we have got 250 chapters of RSS. The difference between shakas in India and here is that here in UK and US, we have family shaka. Families go to the program. And of course, they divide them up, children, ladies, and grown up.
Okay. Last question. What is Braham Ratan Aggarwal in your own words?
Again, my thing is every second of my life, I would like to see how I can help the society. What can I do for them? For myself, I have no liking or desire or anything.
Excellent. Brahmji, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for spending the time with us, and all the best in your mission to do as much, and hopefully you inspire a lot of people who follow in your footsteps.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.